You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thanks so much for joining me here today on the Cabral Concept, where that will most likely be the last intro like that I do. We've got our brand new intro for episode 1000 and beyond. I couldn't be more excited to be sharing this day with you, to be able to do this podcast that we've been on this mission, on this journey now for 3 years, 1000 podcasts. And today's a really special episode for me. It's because our community has grown so much over the past 3 years that I want to do my best to distill what I've learned from all of you, from our community, from all the thousands of people that we see in our practice all around the world, literally virtually now, and what I've also seen come true over all of the additional research, all of the different people that I've seen. What I want to do is share with you the top 10 principles today, or the top 10 things that I've really learned over the last 1000 podcasts. So when I look at this, I look at it as not just one show, but me teaching 1000 days in a row. I look at it as myself, yes, having a background as a naturopathic doctor and Ayurvedic practitioner, bioregulatory practitioner, all of these other types of modalities in which I like to teach. That's part of who I am. But what I want to do right now is say, okay, I've taught now 1000 classes. They've all been about 30 minutes long, and it's to people all over the world. We have our integrative health practitioners that are taking this to the next level. We have people that are just getting into the Cabral Concept or natural health in general, because of course, there are so many great people out there, so many great authors and practitioners and doctors and podcasters that we have so much for all of us to take in, so much for all of us to listen to. So what I wanted to do was this. What have I seen come true? What have I maybe changed my mind or deepened my thoughts on over these past 1000 podcasts? So first, I just want to start with this. It's just that I am literally, and today as literally sitting here in my Boston office, I'm looking outside my office window right now over all of Boston and right into Cambridge. And it's a beautiful day, beautiful fall day, and just filled with a deep sense of gratitude and thanks for being able to do this. It's because of you. It's because of your support. It's because of you tuning in every single day and being a part of CabralSupportGroup.com, our free Facebook support group, asking questions, really chiming in with your successes, with your struggles, and allowing us to see where you're at on your journey. There will never be a shortage of topics for me. 1000 shows, this is just getting warmed up. And the truth is this, every day I see new angles for the same topics, because by now we've pretty much seen it all, but we see new angles, we see different things from people asking questions in a new way. And that really excites me. It really does. Everyone out there gives me the energy to want to do at least 1000 more 30-minute shows. That I can take one topic and teach it on a daily basis. And that even if it's not going to affect your life, maybe you can learn it so that you can then teach it to someone else. And that's honestly what the Cabral Concept is all about. Our show is Change Your Body, Change Your Life, but it's really, each one, teach one as well. And that's because absolutely you need to start with the body, with what you can control before you can possibly change the rest of your life. By changing your body, you actually then have the vehicle, both the mind and body, in order to move you to anything that you want to accomplish in your life. So what I'm looking to do today is simply distill 10 principles. And of course, there could be hundreds and hundreds that I've gleaned from all of you, from our community, from these shows, from what people have really resonated towards, that I do want to pass on to you today. And again, one of the big things I always want to say is this, is that I want this to be our show. So if you have topics, if you have interest in me speaking about different things, you can always go to CabralSupportGroup.com. That is our private Facebook group. That's where our community joins together on a daily basis. Many of my health coaches are there answering questions Monday through Friday, literally all day long. And it's really exciting. We see a lot of great people. We see people going through the Dr. Ball Detox. We see the success stories. We see the questions that they have. So please do feel free to join us there as well. And the last thing before I do get started, it would be immensely rewarding that we're somewhere around 560 or so to 600 reviews on iTunes and over 1,000 shows. And I know that we have the community to be able to do it. If we could get to 1,000 reviews today of the Cabral Concept, that would mean so much to me. And again, there's no obligation. There's certainly no need to do it if you don't feel that it moves you to do that. But if you're able to, if you're simply able to go to iTunes and just search the Cabral Concept and just leave a review, whatever you would like. What we're going to do is we're going to do something fun for anyone that does review the podcast. And if you review, simply review it and then email support@equilibriumnutrition.com. And if you email support@equilibriumnutrition.com over these next 48 hours, we have just a little thank you for your support. That's it. But, it would be great just to see all of this and you get to 1,000 reviews. And really, it's been enough. It really has. But I just wanted to throw that out there to our community and see if we can make that happen. And again, as we start to move up in the iTunes rankings, and we are a top 10 alternative health-based show, and we are a top 100 overall health show, but the more people we reach, I just feel like the more I'm able to move forward with my mission. And my mission is to teach. It really is. And I'm doing that now with the Cabral Concept, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more in the show as well, when I just believe that this whole concept is what I do want to pass on to others. So the first one, as we're getting into my top 10 things that I've really learned over these past 1,000 shows is that anyone, and that includes you, anyone can and will get well. They can and will lose the weight, and they can and will get their entire mind and body healthy. And it doesn't always seem like that in the beginning. It's hard to imagine getting to your ideal weight. It's hard to imagine enjoying the level of health and wellness that you really do want. And that's the truth, because you know no different right now. So how could you possibly play pretend and believe you're going to be something that your mind and your physical senses tell you that's clearly not the truth? But the problem is that in order for you to get to the level that you want to, we have to begin to change the mind. And I can help you with this. Very, very simply, I can help you with this. Is that I've seen whatever you're suffering from right now, I've seen in my practice, and there's people all around the world with this, right? So the nice thing is this, you can take solace in the fact that other people all around the world are suffering just like you. Just like you. And a lot of times we think we're all alone. And I was there myself. When I was 17 years old, I didn't know a single other person in the world that was suffering like me. I was basically insulated right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, a little city outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I didn't know anybody suffering from what I suffered from. Certainly not as a teenager. I'd never even heard of Addison's disease before, right? I'd heard of rheumatoid arthritis because all my grandparents had it, right? So I understood that. But I was like, how's a 17-year-old kid getting this? How's a 17-year-old kid that's not overweight have type 2 diabetes, right? How does a young kid have myalgic encephalomyelitis or POTS? How does this happen? I didn't know, so I felt all alone. And the problem is this. I didn't know how to get better. I didn't expect to get better. But if I had known that there was one other person out there that was suffering like I was, and they got better, well then, why couldn't I? And why shouldn't I? So that's what I began to discover. That was the true healing path, was finally, there are people out there with autoimmune-based issues, blood sugar issues, and Addison's, adrenal, all sorts of other issues, right? Fibromyalgia, and they got well. Well, if they got well, why can't I? And that's the mantra that you should have. So if you're 50 pounds overweight, 100 pounds overweight, whatever it is, and you've been struggling for years, it doesn't mean you can't achieve it. It doesn't mean you won't achieve it. But first you have to understand that there's not going to be always a direct route, a direct line towards your goals. But what you will do is achieve your goal if you begin to work the plans and the blueprints of those people who have achieved similar success. And I'm going to talk about that a little further down in my top 10. So the first thing I need you to understand is that you're not alone. And the second is that no matter what you're dealing with right now, no matter what, you're not the exception. No matter what, you can and you will get well. And for every person that comes in with, hey, have you ever seen this before? I can say yes. Because with over 250,000 appointments, I can tell you we've pretty much seen it all. And for those things that we might not have seen directly in my practice, I have many colleagues that have had that type of person come into their practice. So again, you're not alone. You can and you will get well. And if you're struggling to lose the weight, if you're struggling to transform your body, you can make that happen as well. Number 2 is this. You are not your disease. You're not your disease. I can't begin to tell you how many times I want to scream that from the rooftops when I go on Instagram and I see someone in their bio say, suffer of Hashimoto's or myalgic encephalomyelitis victim or something to that extent. Suffer, victim, patient, etc. You are associating too deeply with the name of a disease. That disease is becoming a part of your identity. And again, it takes one to know one. I said no one understands me because I have Addison's disease. No one could understand the level of flu-like symptoms, fatigue, fever, all that, because they don't have what I have. So I associated with that. I was the sick kid. It's an identity that I began to take on and not one that served me. Because what happened was, when I would start to get a little bit better, I didn't know what to do with that because I was losing my identity as a sick person. I was a victim of this disease. I was then a victim of conventional medicine and the 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin I took. I was a victim of all the allergy medication I took growing up. I was a victim of all the food, the glyphosate and the Kool-Aid and the Little Debbie snacks and the Fruity Pebbles and the Captain Crunch. I was a victim of all of those things. I didn't know that they could do all that to my health. I didn't know that drinking, cow's milk with every meal was bad for you. I didn't know any of these things. Well, the problem was I then began to become my disease. I said, no, it's who I am. It's what I have. I can't do those things because I'm a sufferer of X. And what I need you to know is this. As long as you are your disease, you will always have your disease. I want to repeat that. As long as you believe you are your disease, you will always have your disease because it's part of your identity. You cannot separate that out of who you are. And I want you to heal. And so if you're that person that's always been overweight, you will always be overweight until you begin to see yourself as someone other than that. Because you will not begin to do the things and think the thoughts and take the actions and feel the feelings of a person whose body is about to change. Your mind does control your body. It's something called the central nervous system. Your brain sends signals, which are thoughts, down your spinal cord. That's called the peripheral nervous system. That sends off onto all the different neurons and axons and axon terminals that create action within the body that are called motor units or the efferent nervous system. If you look at these things, it demystifies this whole thing about how your thoughts actually create actions and how your thoughts change your physical body. They literally send nerve impulses down your spine. They innervate certain organs. They make you think certain thoughts that speeds up your heart rate, decelerates your heart rate. I need you to begin to disassociate who you are as a person versus what your health is, where you're at in a relationship, where your body is at, how you feel spirituality-wise, any one of the big 5 that I talk about every single Monday, Mindset and Motivation Monday. All right? What I need you to do is begin to then take on the mindset of someone that already has the health, that already has the body, that already has the career, the relationship, the spirituality that you want. And I need you to take that on because I need you to begin to think like that person. I need you to begin to think like that person so you begin to take the actions and feel the feelings of the person who's already moving towards their goal. That mantra that I love to say by Dr. QA, I always forget how to pronounce his name, is that every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. You can apply that same mantra to every single part of your life. Career, relationship, spirituality, body, health. Every day and every way, I am getting better and better. Everything. Every day and every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Number 3 is this. Genetics matter. Genetics matter. Your genetics matter. It is your genotype. It's the expression of what you could potentially get one day, but it is not your destiny. All 4 of my grandparents had rheumatoid arthritis. Both my parents had rheumatoid arthritis. I got rheumatoid arthritis at 17 years old. I do not have rheumatoid arthritis today. I should have rheumatoid arthritis today, and I would have rheumatoid arthritis today if I what? If I continued down the same path. If I allowed myself to go through conventional medicine-based pharmaceuticals, if I continued to eat the foods that were improper for my body, if I continued to do the stressful things that were too stressful for my body, and I did not clean up all the gut imbalances that I had. If I did not do those things, I would have rheumatoid arthritis today, which means what? What's more important than genetics? The environment. It's the diet. It's my whole de-stress protocol, right? It's what I talk about in the rain barrel effect. When your rain barrel fills up, then genetics matter. That's it. That is it. If you have not filled up your rain barrel, you will not have anything that your genetics predispose you to having. That's why we see some children with childhood disease. They've already filled up their rain barrel. But it's why we see the majority of the population not begin to suffer from these diseases of aging until their late 30s, 40s, and on. Because by then, we've met our capacity. Our rain barrel is now overflowing because we've had enough time to accumulate enough stress to really mess up our gut and our immune system and everything by that time, right? We've accumulated the toxins. We've gone through a lot of our vitamins. We've worn out a lot of our minerals. So we begin to break down. We become more catabolic. So what I want you to think about is this, and it's a 3-part trigger that I spoke about before. You have your genetics, then you have the environment, and then you have an event that pulls the trigger. There's a very crude saying in functional medicine that goes like this. Genetics loads the gun, but it's the environment that pulls the trigger. If there's nothing to pull the trigger, you have nothing to worry about. I see every day people worry about their MTHFR, their COMT, their SOD, their clock, their every other single nucleotide polymorphism and gene out there. They're worried about all of them. I can't begin to tell you how little they matter versus the environment you put them in. I really want to stress that. You have millions of proteins that will turn on these genes, and you only have a little over 10,000 plus of those, but millions of proteins that turn them on. Worry about the diet, the exercise, the stress, the toxins, the rest, the emotional balance, the supplements, and the success mindset. That's the de-stress protocol that I preach. That's in the rain barrel effect. Worry about that. If you do that, you do not have to worry about your genetics. You do not have to begin to supplement for your genetics. You don't need to do all of these things for your genetics until they do come to fruition, if ever. And it's one of the reasons why, again, I don't have the autoimmune disease today. It's why 4 sisters in one family all have the gene for breast cancer, yet only 2 get it. Why is that? It's the expression. Same genes, but the environments were different, which allowed for the expression of those genes. Remember, you control your destiny. Your genes don't control you. Number 4 is this. There's no longer a need to guess. There's no longer a need to guess what's going on with you. Why you're sick, why you can't get well, why you have no energy, why you have no ambition, libido, drive, why you have the bloating, the gas, the loose stool, the constipation, why you have the skin rash, why you have the migraines. There's no longer a need to guess. At some point, you're going to get so fed up that you're going to say, you know what? It's time to stop guessing which supplement may work, which diet may work, what exercise program may work. At some point, you're going to get fed up and you're going to say, I need to test. And I want you to know blood work is not the answer. Blood work is fantastic. I use blood work twice a year for everyone I practice. Every 6 months, I like people to run their blood work. But here's what I want. Here's what's more important. I need to know what's going on at a root cause level. And blood work's not going to tell me that. By testing the urine and the stool and doing a finger prick right at home, you can learn everything that you need about your gut-based function. You can learn about the H. pylori, the candida, the bacterial overgrowth, or the parasites. You'll see what's going on with your gut. You'll know exactly how to fix all of those digestive or autoimmune leading-based issues. If you're looking at your hormones and infertility or PCOS or low testosterone or low drive, libido, etc., you can run a thyroid adrenal hormone test. It will tell you why you may not be able to lose weight as easily, why you gain weight more easily. You can run a hair tissue mineral analysis to look at heavy metals and stress. You can run a mold toxicity test to see why you might have all that inflammation or sinus issues or allergies or asthma or skin rashes or headaches, right? You can run a toxicity test to see if your environment is leading you to potentially accumulate things that could cause cancer. You can run an omega-3 test to see what your current levels of inflammation are. How likely are you to have arterial constriction? What is your rate for actually being able to reduce cardiovascular disease? You can run these all through at-home lab tests with a local practitioner near you that specializes in integrative health or functional medicine, or you can run it through us at Equilibrium Nutrition. It's your choice. I just want to give you the options. That's it. I want you to do what's best for you, but I want to tell you right now, at some point you're going to say, you know what? I'm done with this. I just need to test to figure out not what might be good for my neighbor, but let me figure out what's right for me. Number 5 is this. We get well not by one supplement, not one sleep routine, not one form of exercise, and not one diet. We get well through that thing that I coined the de-stress protocol. This is not mine. This is my education that I've been on this mission now for 20 years. This is me studying all over the world and saying, what are they saying in India, in Ayurvedic medicine? What about China? What are they saying about traditional Chinese medicine and Tibetan medicine? And what about when I was in Europe and I was studying functional medicine, I was studying Ayurvedic medicine and bioregulatory medicine? What were they saying there? And then in the United States, what are they saying? Conventional medicine, because I'm not afraid to recommend as needed, right? I don't believe in conventional medicine and pharmaceuticals unless these are life-saving based conditions. But what I need to know about conventional medicine is I have many people come in on medication. I need to know what those medications are doing in their body. I need to know what symptoms they're masking. So I know that if they weren't on that medication, what would their body and their symptoms most likely be? I need to know that. So my job is simply to take in the best of traditional naturopathy, bioregulatory medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, orthomolecular medicine with the best of nutritional supplements. And I look at it and I say, listen, if you have high cholesterol, sure, we could try to give you niacin, vitamin B3. We could try to give you a lot of red yeast rice. We could try to give you a lot of garlic or anything like that that might drive down those cholesterol levels, berberine. There's so many great things. But what if, while doing the natural things, to reduce your symptoms naturally, we could at the same time figure out what the root cause imbalances are? And the way that we can truly help that is to look at your diet, your exercise routine, your stress reduction routine, your toxin removal with quarterly detoxes, your ability to get in that parasympathetic nervous system and get a good night's sleep, your emotional balance. How stressed are you, right? How anxious are you? Are you depressed? Do you get seasonal affective? Do you have obsessive compulsive? Any of these things. Then we look at nutritional supplements. What do you need as an individual to balance your body, right? And then what do you need as a foundational based support? And then success mindset, as I talked about in the beginning. Do you actually believe you can heal? Because if you don't, you're going to make both of our jobs more difficult, but we can work on that as well. So the way that we heal is not unilateral. It's not one thing. What we need to look at is a multifactorial based approach. That is the only way to heal. That's the way that you truly not only get well, but you heal in the long run. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment as well. What happens is if we push too hard on just one side. Number 6 is this. Oftentimes, in order to truly heal your digestive system, infertility, low energy, mood, pain, and immune-based issues, you need to work through the different responses that happen within your body. So you need to understand is that, and I was talking about earlier, that your body and brain are a two-way street. So what happens is this. Oftentimes we get stressed about a relationship or work or kids, getting kids ready, and all the things that go along with that, right? Or we don't like where we're at with our career, our health, or we're in pain, we're in physical pain. Well, these trigger a sympathetic nervous system response. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I teach this to my integrative health practitioners, is that if I could only work on two things, it's this thing called the sympathetic nervous system and the gut. Well, the sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. If you're always in stress, you have to understand is that eventually your body will begin to break down. And it breaks down in a very predictable fashion. That's what I found over the last 250,000 client appointments, is that I understand as the body becomes stressed, we know now that it has to divert attention away from certain factors. And that is your immune system, and that is digestion. That's the ability to move food down the esophagus. We see so many people with achalasia, and they don't swallow food very well, and they choke, and they can't get that lower esophageal sphincter to close properly or to stay open. And the problem is they're doing all sorts of surgeries and all sorts of things. So really what we're looking at is a sympathetic nervous system dominance, a fight or flight dominance, where the body's in so much stress that it's affecting the digestive system, that it's affecting the immunity, that it's affecting the ambition, the drive. You start to feel anxious. You start to feel overwhelmed. Why? Because it affects the gut, and the gut then affects the brain. It's a two-way street of the stress weakening your digestive system, of allowing the parasites and the bacteria to begin to fester, of allowing for the bloating and the gut dysbiosis. And then you're so uncomfortable in your gut, it makes you anxious in your brain. And then that causes more stress because you don't know what's wrong with you. And that leads to even more stress, which leads to even more gut-based issues. And then over time, we get the systematic breakdown of the thyroid. We get the lowering of that metabolism. People begin to get thinning of the hair, thinning of the skin. They get dry skin. They get poor circulation, the cold hands, the cold feet. And then, of course, we see it to lead to PCOS and PMS-based symptoms, and we see it lead to infertility by its affecting something called the HPO axis. And we see how progesterone gets to be systematically lowered in women. And we see what that can cause in estrogen dominance. We see the water retention, the acne, the excessive hair growth, the bloating, the water retention over the entire body. We see all those things. And in men, we see the lower testosterone. We see the little bit of anxiety, the anxiousness. We see the lack of drive, the lack of ambition. We see all of those things. And it's systematically happening because of this thing called sympathetic nervous system dominance. And if we can understand how to control stress through every different facet, we can truly understand how to repair, rebuild, and rejuvenate the body. Number 7 is this. Don't wait to get the money, the finances, the career, the health, or body to begin to feel like you already have it. It's one of the secrets that I've discovered. You need to experience the joy, the abundance, and the happiness now. And that's truly the secret to getting the end result you want. But it's so hard, which is why we struggle to get what we want, because we're constantly blocking it. You know, there's this famous thing with the law of attraction and all of that, but you have to understand it goes much deeper into true quantum science and quantum physics and quantum mechanics. It's this quantum world of understanding that literally the thoughts that you think become the life that you live, because the thoughts create feelings, and the feelings lead you to an action. Sometimes it's to protect you, or it's to keep you in your comfort zone, or it's to keep you at a subconscious level as the victim of your disease, because that's how people recognize you. That's the groups that you're a part of. Those are the people that you associate with. And what were to happen if you were to lose all that weight, or you were to get truly well? Would people look at you in the same way? You might worry about that. You might fear that subconsciously, and that's why you hold on to the weight, or you hold on to the dis-ease in your body. Well, I need you to begin to truly feel and think about and experience what life will be like once you do get well, once you lose the weight, once you have the vibrancy and vitality that you were meant to have. I need you to feel that now and experience it now, because that's the secret. People want happiness. Oh, I just want to be happy in life. I said that for most of my life. Most of my life. I want to be happy now. I want to do the things that are going to make me happy. The problem is the happiness is already here for the taking. And the trick is this. Nothing in your life, the relationship, the money, the finance, the career, the health, the body, none of those are going to make you happy. They're not. You need to be happy first to enable you to achieve the things that you want, that you believe are going to make you happy. Then they'll just add to that level of happiness. You cannot rely on someone else. You cannot rely on the healthy body. You cannot rely on anything except you. Your inner being, who you are at a deep level. That's what needs to be happy. You need to be happy now. You need to say to yourself, I know right now that I might be suffering from this, but I'm on my way to getting well. I'm on my way to losing the weight. And because of that, I'm grateful. Because of that, I'm happy. You cannot be grateful and angry or upset at the same time. You can say, I'm grateful that I'm finally on my path to healing. And I know that today I'm not well, but I'm on my way, because every day and every way I'm getting better and better. And I'm going to continue to work this path until I achieve what I want in life. And when I do, it will just lead to more of my happiness that I already have. Because I know it will just be one more level that I'll hopefully be able to share with others. And I want that for you, is to begin to experience the joy and abundance and happiness now. It will take time. It will take daily listening to podcasts and motivation and reading the books, and that's okay. That's what you should do until you get it to stick. I had to do it for many years. I'm sure you're a faster learner than I am. But it's okay. Even if it takes you years, that's okay. Number 8 is this. All fad diets, all workouts, and all fast result programs that push your body or imbalance things to one side are never going to work in the long run. They'll never be sustainable in the long run. They simply won't be. We can look back just since the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, I don't know, is it 2010s now that we call it? But look back, look at all the diets, look at all the exercise programs, look at all the fad supplements, look at all the things that we thought were the answer at the time. They never are, right? What do they last? I've looked at this. I've literally looked at all the research through the American College of Sports Medicine that puts this out every year. I see the trends. The trends last for approximately 3 years. 3 years. So we're going to run through keto now. We're going to run through the carnivore diet now. We're going to run through the really hard boot camps now. And then there's going to be a switch to the next fad diet. Why? Because fad diets do work. They absolutely do. And they work great in the short run because they push the body very hard in one direction, right? So very high fat or very low carb or really hard workouts, expending a lot of calorie and energy expenditure. What happens in the long run? Body breaks down because of it. There's a greater imbalance. Why? Because we know, with 6,000 years now of recorded health history, 6,000 years of recorded health history, we know it works. And that is to do what? Keep your body in balance. What does that mean? Well, if you're someone that's more prone to putting on weight, you're more of the endomorphic or kapha body type, you still need carbohydrates, but they should be predominantly low glycemic, more vegetable-based. We look at all the blue zones, we say, people live the longest, had a lower protein diet. That's held up in research over and over and over. So if we put someone on a high protein diet and it's low carb, guess what? They transform their body because it's very metabolic. It's very thermogenic. It works. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Is that sustainable for overall health? Most likely not. Raises IGF-1 levels, which can lead to higher levels of cancer, can throw off the microbiome, shrink the good gut bacteria, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want you to think about is this. There's a lot that works in the short term. The problem is it's going to make you worse in the long term. Don't trade short-term gains for long-term health and longevity. So whenever you see something that you say, whoa, that's really high fat, whoa, that's really low carb, that's really high protein, that's super low fat, don't go for it. Stay balanced. Work the course, right? Continue down the path because diet or exercise are not the only answers to transforming your health and body, right? There's the diet, the exercise, the stress reduction, the toxin removal, the rest and sleep. There's the emotional balance. There's the nutritional supplements to keep you stable and bring up your deficiencies while removing your toxicities. And then there's that success mindset. So much plays into that. When you look at the blue zones, you're looking at community. You're looking at relaxation. You're looking at people gathering, right? There's social aspects. That's part of the emotional balance. Number 9 is this. It's the biggest thing that I've had to learn for myself. This has been a lesson that I need to learn every day, and I continue to relearn it, and that's okay, because I'm on this journey right along with you. I'm on the same path. I'm trying to improve many areas of my life. I don't have it all figured out. And I most likely never will, and I'm okay with that. And that's where number 9 comes in. It's called patience. Patience is not something I'm, as they say, genetically predisposed to, right? But what have I done? I've changed that because there are certain spectrums that everyone has in terms of your level of energy or your level of focus or your level of drive or your level of patience. Well, I have never been a person of patience, but patience is something that I've learned and actually have learned to quite enjoy. Many years ago, I wanted to achieve any number of goals. The first one, of course, was health and body. And I wanted to achieve it as fast as possible. The problem is this. I didn't achieve it very quickly. And I relapsed every single time that I thought I achieved my health. I didn't understand how to put it all together yet. I needed to meet my mentor. I needed her to pull together functional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, genetics, and the overall standpoint of using the mind-body connection. Without that understanding, I wouldn't have been able to put it all together. I wouldn't have been able to get it to stick because I was well, but I would keep relapsing, and I didn't know how to get it to stick. Part of that has been a great lesson in overall following the journey, understanding that the journey is here to teach us a lot. Let's say I had gotten well in the first year or 2 years of my sickness. I wouldn't be with you today. If I say that I got well through conventional medicine, that they were able to put me back together, I'd probably be an MD rather than a naturopath, right? That would probably be my path because they helped me get well, and I was in such a bad spot. I was leaning towards whatever I could do, but no one got me better. I struggled for almost 10 years. What got me better was reading 3,000 books, 3,000 plus books, meeting with dozens of brilliant practitioners, finally meeting my mentor who pulled everything together, and then studying overseas and seeing all these brilliant hospitals, practitioners, etc. That was a lesson in patience. In patience, understanding at the very end of my journey, and not even after it happened, but where I am today, of having gone through all that, opening 2 practices, being able now to work with 250,000 people, have an amazing health coaching team, and go from even a lesson in patience in podcasting, right? From 100 downloads or so a day now to tens of thousands a day and about 1 million or so per month. That we're all on this journey. And that if I had figured it out right away, I wouldn't have learned everything that I need to. So if you're struggling right now, if you don't have the body you want, you don't have the health that you want, you don't have the career that you want, you don't have the relationship that you want, you don't have the spiritual practice that you want, understand this. Maybe you're still on your journey. Maybe, and most likely, you still have a few things to learn before you reach your ultimate destination. And maybe, just maybe, you won't reach that destination until you learned what you need to know. And that's not a bad thing. That means this, that when you finally learn what it is that you need to know in order to achieve your goal, it's now yours for life. That's how I feel. I feel like better that I suffered for that long and know now what I needed to learn in order to not make it happen again. I haven't relapsed since. Knock on wood, knock on desk, whatever you want to say. But I'm doing the things to the best of my ability, and I'm not perfect, in order to make sure that I keep the body healthy, that I keep my mind healthy. And again, I'm very grateful now. It's hard to believe, but I'm very grateful now, even to that dermatologist many, many years ago as a 14-year-old who put me on 2 capsules of amoxicillin indefinitely for 3 years until my immune system finally broke, right? I'm even grateful for that because I wouldn't be here talking with you. I wouldn't be a part of this amazing health community. And I am just one part of our community. That's it. I get to be the one on the podcast or on the microphone, and I really enjoy my job as teaching. But I learn so much from all of you. Number 10 is this, and the last one I want to bring to you. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. I want you to understand that as children, a lot of us are programmed to believe that we need to be subservient, to be followers, to just essentially follow the agenda, to hop on the hamster wheel, and to just move along on a daily basis and not always question who we are, where we are in the world, and what we're really supposed to get out of this life. At this point in my life, and this has only really recently happened over the last couple of years, I honestly believe that we are the creators of our own life. That anything that we want to have, to be, to do, that we can't achieve. It's not always going to happen tomorrow, and it may not even happen next week. Most likely it won't. And that's the problem. We set goals for ourselves, but the deadlines are too short. If I had set a deadline saying, I'm not going to do this podcast unless it hits X by a certain date, it would have been done a long, long time ago. If I said to myself, well, if I don't get well by the 5th year, that's it. I'm just going to give up. I would never have gotten well. So I think what we need to do is sure have that patience, but understand is that we are the ones. We are the ones that are going to create the life that we want. You have to understand the power that you have. You are with yourself for 168 hours per week. If you're meeting with the health practitioner and you're meeting with them 1 hour every week, which would be a lot, it's 1 hour with them, 167 hours with yourself. In the end, only you can do the work. But here's the great thing. In the end, when you get well, when you lose the weight, when you're in the ideal relationship, when you have the ideal career that you want, and you have the life that you want, it was you who did that. everything you achieve in your life, it was because of you. You did it. Now, you can be grateful and thank all of the people that you learned from, because we're not isolated. We're not alone. I'm where I am today in terms of my health because of all the practitioners, even the one that didn't exactly have it right. But they gave me a lot of the tools that I needed to in order to even ask the right questions of what should I do next. So never discount where you're at right now on the journey. You're still learning. You're still growing. We all are. But you have to understand, you're the one creating. You're a human being. You were meant to be. You were meant to do. You're meant to set goals and you're meant to achieve them. And once you achieve them, you're meant to then set larger goals. Because you can have, be, and do anything you want in your life. And when you achieve what you want to achieve, I need you to do this. I need you to then begin to teach. I need you to share with someone else who's not at the level that you are yet how to walk up that ladder. Because it is a ladder. It's a level of ascension. You're moving from one rung to the next, and you don't get to skip any. So what I want you to understand is this. You're on your journey, you're on your path, and you can achieve anything that you want in life. Thank you so much for tuning into this 1000th show. It truly means so much to me. Thanks for being a part of this community. And as I always say, if this episode is helpful, please do feel free to pass along to anyone else it may serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.